Welcome everyone to Bite the Bullet. I'm your host, Mr. Positivity, your boy Jay Reese. And today, I know I say this a lot, but I have an awesome guest because somehow the universe always brings me these nice, wonderful people. And Sophia is no different. But let me go it babbling on and let me read off and give her a proper intro. Sophia Stanymyr is a business owner, blog writer, and homemaker, but mostly a mother and part-time superwoman. She is the most open-minded, down-to-earth person you could ever meet. Always looking for the good in everything. She believes there has to be a positive in every situation. Because as an entrepreneur, it is more important to focus on the solutions than the problems. Sophie is a photographer first and foremost, but also runs businesses on various social media accounts. Currently managing 8, if you're just wondering. She is also a Scentsy consultant selling home fragrance systems. Recently, she started a YouTube show titled Across the Pond with Rich and Sophie, where she and Rich discuss the differences between the UK and the US in a lighthearted and informative way. So let's give a big welcome to Sophie. And Sophie, I know I messed up several things on that intro, and my apologies. I read off a card and I still messed up, but you gotta love
authenticity. Sophia, the first time you said Sophia, and I was like, but it's okay. I won't.
It was one of those Freudian glitches. I was thinking it and I shouldn't have thought it. And as soon as I thought it, I said it, and that's So
okay. You pulled it back.
So also, I think at the end of it, I know you do a home fragrance system. What is the proper name of that system? And apologies.
Oh no, you said it right. It's Scentsy. You did say
okay,
it right.
Okay, cool. Because
right.
Yeah. Oh man. So, you are a business owner and a blog writer and a homemaker. So could you elaborate on that? What do you like to blog about and what are your businesses?
Okay, so I haven't actually written my blog for a little while and I've just started to get back into it because I want to write a book. But actually my blog was about sex and relationships.
Yeah. Okay.
To be precise.
Okay, I think we just might stay there. Like, ooh, tell me more, really. No, I'm fine. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, I wanted to. There was a couple of years ago that a personal situation happened in my life, so I put it on the shelf, and I wanted to get back into it. But I also want to write a book, so I'm trying to sort of put those two things together, and I'm in the process of writing a book based on what the blog was about. And I would love to tell you where the idea came from and the idea, but I don't want anyone to pinch it. So,
well, I don't know how things work legally in the UK, but I know in the US, once an idea is written down or it's told through some sort of medium, it becomes legally binding. So no one is legally allowed to take the idea.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you then on that basis.
Okay.
So you know the film, oh my God, I've got a mind block. Think Like a Man. You know the film Think Like a Man, where that writes the book, the women buy it because they've got boyfriends and they want to basically mold them into what they want, i.e. one wants to get married, so she wants him to ask him to marry him. So then obviously the guys steal the book and try and sabotage it all. My theory is I'm going to write a book about a relationship from a woman's point of view, okay? When you get to the middle of the book, you think that it's over, but it's not. You turn it back to front upside down, and then the back half of the book is a relationship from a man's perspective. So in theory, when you get the book, you are totally equipped to go hands into a relationship with no qualms whatsoever.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Oh, okay. I'm going to be looking forward to that. By chance, do you have a deadline yet, or we're not at the point of having a deadline of when the book's going to be finished?
I'm going to say I'd like to think it would be finished by March. That's obviously just on my shoulders, and
I get it. Yeah.
How much time I dedicate to that. But but obviously, if anyone now goes and steals the idea before March, I'm coming back to find you.
Oh no, I get that completely. So let me go ahead and cross off still Sophie's idea. Okay, got it. All right.
That is my name.
So you also are a photographer, right? And I've seen your work on your Instagram, and you do take beautiful pictures. And that's not just me saying stuff. You have a very unique way of getting people to be vulnerable, and I think that's a good thing for a photographer, because I've seen pictures where people have the fake smile.
I don't like that. I really don't like that, and I don't like. Especially, like weddings. I mean, I generally try and stick to weddings, babies, and families. But let's be honest, in this day and age, if someone asks me to take photos, if there's money involved, you're going to take pictures, right? Because that's what you do.
Right, yeah.
So I don't like stage ones, where especially in weddings where they're all staged, I like to just have natural shots. I think it looks so much nicer and so much better. Even... like with babies, there's famous poses where sort of babies are like this, like brand new newborn babies, a couple of days old, and they're like this. It's actually photoshopped. It's two pictures photoshopped together. In one picture, somebody's holding the baby's head steady like that, and then in the next picture, somebody's holding the elbows together, and then they photoshop them together to make it look like one picture. That's not for me. I'm all for like pure natural, a newborn baby is beautiful as it is. You shouldn't, stage it.
Yeah, and now my world is shattered. Like there is nothing sacred anymore. What is this?
God. We're 5 minutes in so far. You've stolen your idea on a legal thing, and now I've shattered your idea about newborn photography. Sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool because, like you, I love pictures that just look natural. Like anytime I've worked with a photographer, personally, I feel that my best shots came out when we were just in the middle of a conversation, or they caught me when I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So how do you go about capturing those moments with people that you're working with? Because I'm sure it's not easy depending on the client that you're working with.
Of course. I just think you have to build up a rapport, at the beginning. I'm definitely a stickler for first impressions count, and you can't get that back. Okay. So, if you have to show, you have to be yourself. You have to be yourself. You have to show some personality. You have to show that you're human. There's no point in being sort of like stone faced. Do this, do that, do the other. Like I always say, like to people before they turn up, if there's any outfits that you want, any props, anything in particular. I can't say that word specific, so we will say in particular. If they want anything in particular, to bring it. A lot of people already come with ideas because they've spent hours looking on Pinterest, I've seen this pose I like this, I like this, I like this. So I just take what they want and, like we will do it because I think it's not necessarily the customer's always right, but I don't want to seem like I'm a know-it-all. So we'll do it, and then I'll either do it again with a spin on it to make it, like their own, or I'll do theirs and my own suggestions at the same time. Right. I mean, they have a choice then of which they choose.
So is it better for someone to come in with an idea of what they want, or to come in with a blank slate?
I always say I like people to come in and tell me their vision, and then I will make it come to life.
Oh, I like that.
Because it's difficult. If someone comes in with a completely blank slate, you could there be in a time frame of not necessarily wasting time, but trying to come up with an idea that A, they like, and B, works.
Mm-hmm.
So it is nice if they've got some sort of idea, even if it's just a rough idea, you know, of something to
Mm-hmm.
work with.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. And let me ask, so you mentioned a moment ago, like how this year has been a very challenging year for a lot of us, right? And as a photographer, I know a lot of times, like, you have to be 6 feet within someone.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing to overcome the challenges of being a photographer in this year and quarantine and everything?
Well, there was a period when we were in the UK on complete lockdown. So for 10
Mm-hmm.
weeks, there was zero business whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, I felt a bit bad because I was still showcasing my work as if to say,
Mm-hmm.
when this is all over, you know, come and book with me sort of thing, you know.
Right.
And it's a bit of a fine line because I didn't want to seem insensitive, but then at the same time, I'm still trying to run a business and I don't want it to go under. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yeah.
the government guidelines were you can have, I think it was at the time, 15 people to a wedding. So I would showcase I sound terrible saying it out loud now, but I would showcase my pictures and say,
Right.
you're allowed 15 people to a wedding. Why not make one of those a photographer so that you can capture it and show everyone else that couldn't make it, you know? And it might sound really insensitive, but like I said, I'm just human like everybody else. I've got a living to make and I'm trying to survive. So I spent time trying, and to be fair, I have managed to book 2 weddings in during lockdown for next year. So but now we can work now, but obviously I have to take there's only so many people that are allowed in.
Okay.
And only a maximum of from 3 separate households, because we have to have it's called a bubble here, so you can have 3 separate households, but still, as far as I'm aware, it's only a maximum of 6 people. Have to take a temperature before they come into the studio. Everyone has to sanitize. Obviously I have to stay a certain distance away, you know, from said family, baby, child. So yeah, it's all very regimented at the minute, you know, and it kind of almost takes away the fun of it in the beginning, if you like, you know, because it's almost like a checklist or a tick list. Everyone has to do X, Y, and Z. You know, it's very military at the moment. So how long that's going to be like that for, I don't know. But if we want to work, we have to do what we have to do.
Right. And I don't think you sound insensitive at all. You're a business owner. Plus, like you said, you're human. So you got to make sure that you have money coming in so you can do what you need to do to provide for your family. So I get that completely. It's like this weird fine line that we have to walk because, like, okay, I need to be able to work, but at the same time, I want to be safe for my family and for the rest of the world. Right. So I don't know. It's very weird. Like, I went to my sister's wedding back in October. And like you're saying, like, she could have, I want to say there was about maybe 30 people, but it was a big venue.
Okay.
So I want to say it was about 30 people. And I couldn't help but to be aware of the photographers because of the different positions they had to take to get the proper photos or the photos that my sister and her husband wanted. And I remember there were a lot of times where the photographer, like, there would be like the aisle, the church aisle, and the photographer would be way at the ends taking the pictures as everyone came up. And then there was other times, like, there might have been another photographer like behind them, and it was just very weird the positions they had to take. So I'm assuming you're quite familiar with having to do acrobatics to get the pictures.
Yeah, I mean, normally it's just me, you know, I can hire an additional photographer if the client requests it, but as at the minute it is just me. So yeah, I sort of try and have to do all angles. I mean, if it's a wedding, for example, because that's what obviously you're on about, I will always speak to the vicar priest beforehand and say, where am I and where aren't I allowed to go? Because I know that, I don't know if it's the same here, but especially in churches, there's like a stage where the priest stands and then the bride and groom stand in front of those. And sometimes they don't like you to go behind them, or you're only allowed on certain sides. so I always, you know, like have a conversation with them first. Where am I, or where aren't I allowed to go?
Yeah.
And then basically, as soon as I've done that, I feel like it's just a bit of a free reign, really. I just as long as I make sure I've captured the moments, you know, I sort of assess the situation. Where's the best places to stand? I mean, I did a wedding in an old, oh God, was it an old barn? It was like a big old manor house.
Oh, I thought that was beautiful.
Oh, it was, but it was quite dark, you know, and moody. But they had a balcony in the room that they were getting married in. So after they first came in, and I did pictures of the bride coming up the aisle, I literally ran down the side, ran up to the balcony, did pictures of them while they were doing like their vows, and ran all the way back down to make sure I could get them on the way out.
Yeah.
But they do say a good photographer will do whatever it takes to get the money shot.
Right.
And it's totally true.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember back when I got married, 15 years ago. I better get that right. My wife's gonna be mad if I don't get that right. About 15 years ago. But I remember our photographer actually fell over some bushes because she was getting the money. But funny enough, she got the photo. It was like a beautiful photo.
As long as you get the shot, that's all that matters. As long as you get the shot.
But luckily, like that was like after, it was like during the wedding, but it was like after the ceremony. So it was like during the portion of it. But like she was okay. But yeah, I remember like you said, they have to do everything they can do to get the. So let me ask you. So on a business side of it, what would you say your biggest challenge is as a photographer, particularly now in 2020?
I would say that there are hundreds, thousands of amazing photographers out there. So the hardest part is actually getting people to sign and come with you, rather than going with, say, Joe Blogs down the street, whose photos, you know, may not be as good, but they're going to charge hundreds of pounds less, you know. And it's getting people to understand that they're paying for your time and your skills. And yeah, just, I mean, for me, 9 times out of 10, people buy into you rather than the product necessarily, because they will look at the product and they'll think you take amazing pictures. But if when they call you, or you have that initial pre-consultation, if you don't get on or you don't click, they're not really they're not going to book with you, are they? They're going to go and book with Joe Blogs down the street. It is really hard when you have people that literally just undercut you. It's just on a money thing, you know, they undercut you on price.
Right, just to get the job,
Yeah, that's the most difficult part.
Oh, I see. So I know, excuse me. I know it's probably, you can't click with every person that you can, just because of personalities, right?
Yeah.
So what are some things you do to help better the chances of you actually being able to click and to connect with the customer you're trying to reach?
I always offer a free consultation, you know, so that I can meet them in person. And I will listen to what they want, listen to their needs, offer suggestions that maybe they haven't thought of, or sometimes, I mean, I have it where it's like a different package system, you know, like say maybe bronze, silver, gold. Obviously the price is dependent on something different. If I thought that somebody was on the verge of booking, but they weren't sure because somebody was cheaper, then, you know, I might be able to adjust the packages to their needs, which then can adjust the price, you know. I try and be as personal as possible. But yeah, it's sad when it comes mainly down to money, you know.
Yeah, it's weird being in the service industry, like when you're going out and working with customers and stuff. Like I've had several different careers, different occupations and stuff. And I remember when I actually was a DJ, I was kind of into the same position of, you want to make sure you're valuing yourself and charging what you are rightly deserved. But at the same time, you want to be competitive because there are people, as you're saying, they'll try to undercut you. And what I find is that, like, I remember there were a couple of clients that I would refer them to a different DJ because I didn't feel I could service them the way they were wanting, or at least the way they thought they were wanting, right? Yeah. And funny enough, they would end up referring me to a friend that needed a DJ or something like that. So I would get referrals by referring someone to someone else, if that makes sense. Yeah. But it's all about trying to help the customer, right?
That's the way I look at it. Like if I say somebody wanted to book with me, but they didn't have enough money or it wasn't in their budget, then I think to myself, okay, let me see if I can tailor it so that A, I'm not doing myself out of a pocket, but B, I can still get the job. And then somebody would say, well, why did you do that? I did that because if they know somebody else that's going to get married, then I'm assuming they're going to say, okay, well, we recommend you, right? Or someone's going to look at their pictures and say, oh my God, I loved your pictures. Who was your photographer? Because we're getting married. So it's almost like, you know, you're looking at the long-term goal rather than exactly right now, you know? So
yeah,
that's how I look at it.
I'm sorry, Sophie. It froze for a second.
Oh no, are we back?
You still there?
I'm still here.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. It came back. Okay. All right. Like I said, you like we were talking about this earlier beforehand. Like stuff comes up, tech issues, but you gotta love when you're just recording and things come up, right?
Exactly, and you are on the other side of the pond, so this is gonna happen.
Right, but it's funny how like everything was running so smooth, and then all of a sudden, the glitches, right?
I know.
So I don't know, but actually, that might be a good place to ask you. I know ever since I've met you, you've always seemed like a very positive person. What are some of the things that you do to help you stay positive? Because as a person myself, Mr. Positivity over here, I know I don't wake up always in a positive state. I know there's things that I have to do, rituals that I have that help me center and keep myself positive. So do you have similar things, or are you just naturally just always smiles and let's go?
Well, I'd like to say it comes naturally. I just, for years, I've told myself that there is a positive to every situation. There has to be. You don't always see it in the beginning. It might take a bit longer. I mean, and this is probably a terrible analogy, but, you know, like, say I went over, not being me, I'll use myself as an example. So I went out and got run over by a bus. Okay, I might have broke my leg, but I'm still alive. So there's the positive, you know. It's extreme an analogy, but that's how you have to look at life. There's always a positive to every situation. I did, at the beginning of lockdown, I did start doing meditation every morning. And I must admit, I don't do it as religiously now. But if I find myself becoming agitated or annoyed, I do find that if you just literally stop, take a few deep breaths, then it's almost like it's a reset button, and you can be like, okay, let's look at the situation logically, and then, you know, move forward. You have to think there is a solution to every problem, not a problem to every solution.
Exactly. I feel you exactly the same way. I want to say a mentor told me that a long time ago because my parents were very militant, right? So I was always used to just coming up and saying, okay, this is what happened. What do we do? And then receive the orders and then go carry it out, right? Okay. So when I entered the workforce, one of my first boss, she went up and she was like, hey, if you're going to bring me a problem, at least have one or two possible solutions that you're trying to you're trying to like go forward with. Like, don't just bring me the problem, because there's nothing wrong with addressing the issue, but make sure you have some solutions to try to figure it out, right?
Right. Because otherwise it's just a negative. You're a stalemate. You've got a problem, and now what? You know, so I mean, my brain works really oddly. Like, if there's an issue, I always think of every possible solution. Okay, what if this? What if this? What if this happens? But what if that happens? What? Just because I like to try and be prepared, you know. And I know you probably can't be prepared for every single eventuality, but that's how my brain works. I like to try and think I might be prepared.
Yeah, like my biggest superhero, one of my favorite superheroes is Batman. Been my favorite superhero forever. So this is the kid in me, trying to emulate Batman. As you're saying, I try to think of every possible solution of everything that could possibly go wrong before I get into it. And clearly, as you said, you're not going to think of everything, but it's nice if you go in there with some kind of strategy of, okay,
yeah,
let me take it this way. So I get that 100% completely. And now, I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. I was trying to make sure the connection was working right.
I got distracted. The sun came in, and I was going to say to you, "Oh no, my halo slipped. The lights down the wrong way, but it's gone now." It's gone now.
Like in the short time that I've known, I don't think your halo would ever slip, ever.
Thank you.
Oh man, but like I think now is a good transition for one of my favorite parts of the show. If you've watched the show before, you already know it is bite the bullet time. Now, see, I have several questions here on my lovely index cards that I will ask Sophie. She does not know what the questions are. She does not know where I'm going to be coming from. I'm sure she is nervous for these questions, but are you ready to bite the bullet, Sophie?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna take the verbal confirmation. We're gonna cancel out the visual right there. I heard you say yes.
Okay.
All right. So the first question is: if in 150 years science fails to save us all, right, and the only thing that is left is a book about your life, what would the title be, and what would the back say?
Jeez, what would the title be?
Mm-hmm.
The title would be A Legend. She Never Gave Up.
Ooh, I like that.
The back.
I might have to write that title down for a future book that I write. That's good.
Just remember,
the back. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Beginning of the show. If I said it first, this is legally binding, so you can't actually.
You didn't say you were going to use that title, but if you're going to use it, I won't use it. I won't use it. Promise.
Okay. What would the back say?
Yeah.
The back would say a story about the life of a woman who worked hard, always tried, was always positive, even though her halo dropped, as you can see again, the light. A must-read New York Times bestseller.
I love it. I think I'd pick up that book in a heartbeat. Most def. So next question. What's the most important thing you've learned so far in your life and why?
Oh my God. Only one? The most important thing.
Most important thing.
Oh my gosh. How long have we got while I have a think? The most important thing is, oh my God, I really can't pick one. Let me think quickly. Okay.
Just one. What's the most important thing? Most important thing.
Okay. The most important thing is you're never going to please everybody all of the time. Nobody thinks like you, and everybody's opinion is different. There are 6 billion people in the world, and you shouldn't let the opinion of one person upset you. Yeah, that's it really. Everybody's opinion is different, and that's absolutely fine.
I love that. Wow, there are 6 billion people in the world, and you shouldn't let one person. Oh, I love that, yo. That might end up becoming like a Mr. Positivity like speech or something. Like I love that. I love that.
Remember the beginning of the show.
Now, if I quote you in it, that's different.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that I came up with that. I would be more than happy to quote you. I
could have read the small print before I agreed, right?
So the next question is, what, in your opinion, is your best tip for making the world a better place?
Jeez, you're going to quote this on the back of my book or on my headstone. Say again, sorry. What, in my opinion, is the best
tip for making the world a better place?
Be nice, because you never know what the other person has been through. Like, you could go somewhere and just bump into somebody and they could turn around and give you, be abusive and give you a mouthful. Doesn't mean to say you have to do that back. You have no idea what happened in that person's life 2, 5, 10 minutes before that to make them react like that. So always think before you react.
Oh, 100%. Funny enough, there is a story that at this point, I don't remember where I got the story from. I'm sure I read it in the book, but this story is a popular story. So there's this guy who's on the subway and he's minding his own business. It's late at night. He's just riding the train. And this guy comes on with his kids, and the guy sits down and his kids are just running amok all over. Like, they're on the rails. They're just running around. They're knocking papers around. And they're just really bothering this guy and irritating this guy. So the original man, he walks up to the man who got on the train with the kids, and he says, "Hey, can you get your kids? Like, they're running all around." The man who got on the train, he looks up with like tears in his eyes. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even notice. Their mother just died, and I haven't told them yet." And then at that moment, the guy who was originally on the train, he's like, "You know what? I'm so sorry. You're just forget it." And that story just lets you know, like, you never know what's going on in somebody else's life. Like, you don't know other perspective. Like, you have to have awareness and you just don't know.
And I almost feel like people don't get that until it happens to themselves. I probably would have been one of those people that would go out, get annoyed by children running around, screaming, like if you're on a plane and a child's crying or whatever.
Yeah.
Until I had my son. My son is 8 now. He's going to be 9 next month, but he's actually autistic. So it wasn't until I had him, it totally made me look at things in a different way. Like, if I go to the shop and there's a child who's screaming or upset, whereas before I'd have been like, "Oh my God, can you shut that child up?" Now I'm like, okay, you literally have no idea what is going on in their life, what's going on with the child, the mum, whatever.
Yeah.
So you just have to, be a bit more considerate, and just be kind.
I wish I could always be considerate and kind, because anyone who knows me in my personal life, they know that I am not really a fan of unbehaved children. Does that come out right? But in the same token, like, I've never gone out my way to say something to a parent or even to the children. But it's like, I don't know. It's weird, because I think that in that particular situation, I think I would have just like got up and like went to another car. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that was me,
you shouldn't worry about the things you can't change. Just do the things that you can change. So in that situation, if you can get up and move to the next car, just do that. It's going to take less hassle and cause less friction if you just pick yourself up and move,
Yeah, 100%. But the story is to show that, you never know what someone goes through. So, but on to the next question. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Don't drink so much. No.
I think a lot of us could say that.
I would say, don't be so hard on yourself and don't be so mean to yourself. Like, we are sticklers for judging other people, but also judging ourselves, especially nowadays with social media and magazines, you know.
Right.
I know it is the same for men, but
Mhm.
women especially, oh, I want her hair, I want to be slimmer, I want to be, you know, I want to look prettier, blah, 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 you know. You just have to make do with what you've got, you know, make the best of what you've got and love yourself. And it is absolutely bloody hard, but self-love is not selfish and it is essential. But I wish someone would have told me that 20 years ago, you know. I spent years beating myself up, you know, telling myself I wasn't good enough, telling myself I wasn't worthy, you know, these things have, you know, you deserve certain things to happen, you know. And that's really not the case. So I wish somebody would have told me to love myself more.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. I find it, the more people I talk to, a lot of us feel that same way. So I tend to wonder, is there something about youth that makes us all so insecure that it isn't until we gain more knowledge and more experience as we get older that we realize, you know what, I'm pretty good, I'm cool, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I tend to wonder if there's some kind of mental shift as we get older that we start to realize that we didn't have it as bad as we thought we did, or we're not as horrible as we think we are, kind of perspective. Because even for me, I know that now that I'm in my 30s, almost in my 40s, I'm sitting here like, yo, I got it. Like, I didn't think my 30s were going to be like this. Like, I figured, I don't know. It's just,
yeah,
you know
but
what I mean?
Like when I was about 10, I thought 30 was old, right? So then as you get older, you get to like 16 to 18 and you think actually 30 is not old, 40 is old. So then as you get older and you get to like late 20s, early 30s, you're like, actually 40 is not old. You're not old until you're 60, you know. But it's true what they say, like knowledge is power. So as you get older, you learn more, your life experiences, you know, molds you and shapes you to who you are.
No, I agree completely. So, if you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Absolutely anybody. So they don't have to be famous.
Exactly. They could be anybody. They could be people you know, don't know. It's just
okay. The first person would be my granddad. My dad's dad, who is Ukraine. He died the year before I was born. And I feel like he's got so much history, not just about our family, you know, but culture, because he fled from the Ukraine when Russia wanted them to go to war.
Okay.
So he fled and came to England, him and his friend. And then up until a point, could never ever go back. You know, he passed away after Ukraine separated from Russia. So obviously it's different now. If he was here, he could travel to and fro. But while he was alive, it was never ever possible for him to. You know, like my dad was young then, so he didn't. Like, I've got so many questions, but my dad can't answer them because he was a young lad. He didn't care about things like that. He didn't care about certain things. And even some stories that my dad tells me from his childhood, I'm like, I want to know more. So I would definitely, number 1 would be my granddad.
Okay.
Number 2 has got to be Vin Diesel. He's my number 1 celebrity crush from as far as I can remember. And if I didn't invite him, I would forever regret it, because I could potentially never ever meet him. But yes,
yeah.
Vin Diesel.
So Sophie, like I promise you, I try my best not to judge people. However, I would have never thought you had a huge crush on Vin Diesel. I never would have pegged that at all.
No, honestly. You know, when eBay first came out and someone said, oh, go on eBay, you can buy anything, it's amazing. I went on there to have a look. We have these things here called pot noodles, like, so it's a plastic pot, you put hot water in it and it, you know, flavouring, not real food, but and somebody was selling a half-eaten chicken and mushroom pot noodle, and the bids had gone up to like £11.50. You can buy a brand new one for like 70p. So I was like, this is a joke. People are literally selling anything. The first thing I bought was a Vin Diesel fridge magnet and a Vin Diesel picture for my desk at work.
This is a no judgment zone. I will not judge at all.
I've got to say, I think most of it comes down to the voice. I love his voice. Don't get me wrong, the muscles do play a part.
Yeah.
I love the voice. He's always been my celebrity crush. So if I had three, he's number 2. I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't invite him.
I must admit, he's not a crush of mine, but I'm definitely a fan of his because I love the Fast and the Furious franchise. I think I think I can honestly say I've loved every movie I've seen him in. I haven't seen every movie, but I've seen every movie I've seen him in. I have loved. I don't know what that says about me, but
you obviously haven't watched The Pacifier, which is like a comedy. Like, oh my god, you have?
Yes, I like The Pacifier. What is wrong with The Pacifier? This has become a whole different podcast now. What is wrong with The Pacifier? Wow.
The only thing wrong with it is that Vin Diesel's in it. That's easy.
I thought it was very cute. It was him coming out of his shell. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he should win an Oscar or like a Brit for it. I'm just saying it was a cute movie. It was good. It wasn't bad.
I'd describe it as cheesy more than cute, but
I have learned. So our friendship is now changed. I just don't know what.
It's taken it.
Okay. Let's deviate. Let's go back. Your third person.
My third person.
Yes, your third person.
Okay. How soon is the dinner going to be? Are they calling me tonight to say the dinner's happening?
That wasn't in the question, but I guess if we're going to put it could be whenever you guys or gals decide.
Okay. If it's literally happening within the next few weeks, there'll be my granddad, there'll be Vin Diesel, and then there would be Rich, my co-host from my YouTube show, because I have to meet him, and if someone's going to give us a free dinner, we're foodies, so I have to bring him in and feed him at least as well. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I like that. Okay, all right. Got the family in there, got the celebrity, and then you got your boy and your partner. I like that. My
partner in crime.
All right. So, this was card. What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
What is one thing I wish I'd have known? I wish I would have. How can I word this? I think it's more about having faith in yourself, because I'm terrible. Like, if I do a shoot, I always the same day will edit one picture and send it just as like a sneak peek, I like to call it, so that they say, okay, because it takes a couple of weeks to edit all the pictures, especially from a wedding. It can take like between 500 and 1,000 pictures, so it's going to take a few weeks to go through them all and do them. I like to send them a picture on the day and say, ta-da, sneak peek. And from when I press send on the email, straight away I'm like, oh my god, what are they going to say? And to this day, nobody has ever come back and said anything negative. But I think it's a case of the unknown, like, ooh, what are they going to say? I wish I could have said to myself, just don't worry, don't panic, don't worry. Just have faith in yourself and do it. Because I'm not being big-headed, but I do like to think I take good pictures. So I don't know why I worry. And I know that it's not just me, everybody does it, but
yeah, of course.
I just, I wish I could take that bit of my brain out altogether.
No, I agree. Like, I have that as well, and I think everybody has that. It's just something about when you're putting yourself out there, there's always just that initial, like, oh my god, what's everyone going to say? What's going to be the feedback? So
I mean, and on the flip side, I suppose at least it shows we care, right? We care what they think. We care whether they're going to like it. We care, but
I agree. So what makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
What makes me feel inspired or at my best self?
Yeah.
Oh God. Who thought these questions? My main inspiration every single day is my son. I want my son to know that I always did my best for him, for us. Like I always gave him the best that I could. I want to be the best role model for my son. Like at the beginning of lockdown, I started a HIIT class 3 times a week, like we're doing now, like you know, on a video call.
Yeah.
And there were, I'm not gonna lie, it was at 6:30 on a Tuesday and a Thursday morning, and at 9 o'clock on a Saturday. And I'm not going to lie, there were mornings where I didn't want to get up. There were mornings where, in fact, one Saturday morning, Alfie had been awake since 4:20 in the morning, right? And I sat there on the sofa thinking, I'm not going to go. I haven't had enough sleep. I'm tired. I'm not going to do the class. And then the other part of me was saying, come on, get up, do it. Then it was like a conversation backwards and forwards between myself. I'm not doing it. Do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And if I just look around, like everywhere I look in my house is pictures of Alfie. So as soon as I see that, I'm like, okay, come on, you know, and I never missed a single class. And even when I was doing the classes, the instructor would be saying, come on, you got more than this. You can give more. Try out, do it faster. And I'd be like, oh, no. But then I look like, come on, you know. So my son is always 10,000% my inspiration.
Oh, I love that. And yo, please, have you shared that on Instagram? Like, I think you should be sharing some of that. Like, take a video or a picture afterwards or before. You should be sharing that.
Yes,
yes.
Before my subscribers go down. Oh my God, unfollow.
Oh, stop it. They would not.
That comes back to the initial thing where we worry about what people would say, right?
Well, exactly. And honestly, like, I mean, you follow me on social media, and you know, like, I started posting my workouts and stuff, and I felt exactly the same way when I first started doing it. I was like, no one wants to see this. My follower count is going to go down, all that lovely stuff. And funny enough, I have gotten more encouragement and more people telling me it has inspired them to work out and all that kind of lovely stuff. And it just makes me keep going that much more. And then, in fact, once your body gets used to doing it, when you're not doing it, it feels awkward. Because like right now, we're taping this early in the morning. So I haven't had an opportunity to work out today yet. And my body's all right. Like, dude, this is the time when you normally work out. What's going on? Work out. So
it's funny because they say it's 21 days to get into a habit, right? So we did it 3 months straight, and then the instructor was like, okay, well, we're going to have a week off now because we're in between. And I was like, what? No, we can't. And he was like, we're fine. You can just do some workout on your own. And I knew I wouldn't, you know, because there's nobody else there to give you the encouragement or to push you, or you have to, if someone else is there, I feel like you have to be accountable. So if I didn't show up for a class, I'd have to say, okay, well, why didn't I turn up? You know, what did I do instead? You have to be accountable for your own BS, you know, I'm not going to swear. Whereas if you're just there by yourself, it's easier to be like, oh yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, or I will do it later, do it later. So yeah, I definitely felt it when we had a week off, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't do anything for that week. I said, oh yeah, I could just do it tomorrow. I've even got an exercise bike, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go on the bike 3 times a week at least, something. Didn't do anything. So yeah, and it's true what they say. You should feel the fear and do it anyway. So get out of the comfort zone.
One of my mentors always told me, like, when you feel the fear, that's your inner God telling you which direction to go, because it's breaking us out of our comfort zone. It's making us grow that much more. And that's just one of the things I use now. Like, okay, if I'm afraid of that, that must be something I need to know, learn, or something. So that tends to be the direction I go
and
nowadays.
The funny thing is, there's been a couple of times where I've gone to post something, and part of me is like, oh, shall I, shan't I? I'm not sure about that. So I'll leave it, and then I'll get in a mood and think, oh, sod it, I'm just going to post it. I don't really care what people think. And that's been the post that's had the most interaction and the most likes. You know, it's really bizarre.
Right? Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's like the things you're like, oh, yo, this is going to like break the internet. This is going to be, everyone's going to love this one. Zero. Goose egg, right? But then and the one that's like, oh, I can't believe I'm posting this.
Yeah.
Everyone, I don't know. It's weird.
Weird how it works.
So if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it say?
What would it say?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if it says something that I'm making up, that's something I want to come into fruition, right?
That's fair enough. If that's what you want on it.
I'm going to be honest. If I went out of my house now and saw a billboard, I'd want to say, I'd want it to say, tune in to, I don't know, Sky One tonight at 9 o'clock for Rich and Sophie Across the Pond. The show is going to be prime time. That's what I'd want my billboard to say.
I like that. I like that. Hey, that's what works. That's your billboard. All right. So now, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar?
Don't think about it. Just do it. If you think about it too much, you'll talk yourself out of it. You'll come up with negatives. You'll come up with reasons why you shouldn't do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it.
100% agree. What is one common myth about your profession you want to debunk?
All you do is click a button.
Oh, I can understand that. Yeah.
You don't actually really do any work. You just click a button.
Yeah. I think I might know the answer to this one, but what motivates you to do what you do?
What motivates me to do what I do?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to give people something to look back on. So when I said this in a previous interview I did a couple of weeks ago, I truly believe when you press that button, because that's all I do, right? Press a button. When I press that button, whatever happens in that split second, you can never, ever get it back. Even if you try and recreate it, it will always look different. So I want to be able to capture a moment in time to make a memory that lasts a lifetime. Because how many times have you might have been to your mum's or your grandma's or something. They've got pictures on the wall from their childhood, which then leads to a story. You know, every picture tells a story. So take the picture. That's what I say.
Take the picture. I like that.
Take the picture.
We're getting down to the wire. A few more questions left.
Oh, God.
What are the best resources that have helped you along the way? Now, resources can be people, things, time, experience.
The best resources.
I'm
going to say time, practice, and the internet. Because let's be honest, you can ask Google anything and it will tell you. You can go on YouTube and ask it anything and it will show you a video.
Yeah. I think you're the first person that has said the internet.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably because I learn more by watching and doing. Like if you was to give me, let's say someone dropped a brand new top of the range camera in front of me right now. Would I read the instructions? No, because it just wouldn't sink in. I've got one of those brains where I need to fiddle with it and do it myself, or I would go to YouTube and say, got this brand new camera, how do I change the FSO? Click, and then they would show me a video and I'd do it and it'd be sunk in. If you just left me with the instructions, I just couldn't do it. I wouldn't. My brain doesn't seem to work like that. So that's the reason I say the internet. It does have its uses.
No, I get that completely. I just found it interesting. A lot of people said like people or other stuff, but I think a lot of people forget that the internet is actually a tool. I mean, yeah, it can bring us entertainment value and joy and some other things, but it's a tool. Like we can use it to find anything we want. Like it's the equalizer of all knowledge for the most part.
Right.
So 2 more questions. Tell us in your words, a brief summary of what Rich and Sophie is about.
Rich and Sophie is looking at the differences between the USA and the UK. And that could be anything from, so far we've talked about politics, we've talked about healthcare and the NHS, we've talked about like the law and gun crimes, because Rich wasn't aware that not even the police have guns in the UK, you know, they're banned.
Which I love.
So
That's
does
just
he.
my personal
So does
playlist, but
he.
yeah.
Even things like to dialect, and what we call different things, like you guys call it a pacifier, we call it a dummy,
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of being fun but educational. I mean, we started off as it was just a bit of fun, and then we decided, because we do 2 shows a week, Friday and Sunday, we've changed it to have Friday Fun Day, Serious Sunday, because we don't want to be like one-trick ponies,
Right,
our end goal is we would love to have a talk show, like on Prime TV. So that's how we are carrying on our show. Like we've got a show, we're just carrying on like we would do if we had it on a show. So yeah, we do a fun subject on a Friday, and like last week was about restaurants, takeaways, and deliveries. Like you have different restaurants to what we have here. We can have Burger King delivered to our house here. You can't.
Nice. I love that. I love it.
But the good thing is, I love the fact that we've got people, obviously people, our friends and family, are our biggest supporters. They follow us, they've subscribed, they comment. But last week, actually, well, on Sunday, we talked about the coronavirus. This is one of the big things that are going on in the media at the minute. So we spoke about the coronavirus because the UK was due to get the first vaccines on the Tuesday. So we had the whole show about the coronavirus, different things that are going on across the pond. And literally a couple of hours after we put the show up, a guy that neither of us know commented saying, he said he hasn't watched the news for years, yet this news affects him, and he was grateful that we could bring him the news in a way that he understood, B, that he could have a little bit of a laugh with, and that he couldn't wait for the next show. And we were like, yes, this is the reason. Do you know what I mean? This is the reason. People, like, don't get me wrong, our friends and family have left comments. The show's amazing, which you would expect, But for somebody that we neither of us know, we were like, yes, this is what we want.
No, like you guys' dynamic is so organic and just so nice. It's almost like you guys have known each other for years and have been working together for years, because it's just funny and awesome to see you two together. And I agree with you completely. It's very nice and feels good when your family is encouraging and says, "Oh, that's so awesome. I love that episode." But then when a stranger says it, it's weird. It feels better for some reason, because you feel like they're not obligated to say it,
Exactly. And you do feel a bit bad, and we don't want to take anything away from our friends and family, because if we want to impact them, we do exactly the same. But it's almost, it's like you say, it's not forced. It's literally, this guy has said it because that's that's genuinely what he thinks, and you're like, oh my God, it's amazing.
All right, so where can everyone watch Rich and Soph?
You can watch Across the Pond with Rich and Soph on YouTube, and it is also available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and 4 other podcasting streams that I can't remember. If you go to Anchor FM, then you'll be able to see all the available different podcasting streams. But to actually physically watch it, like you're seeing us now, then it's just on YouTube, Across the Pond with Rich and Soph.
Well, I mean, I've listened to it and I want to see you guys too. So I'm going to make sure that I'm following you on YouTube if I haven't already, because both of you are very lovely people. It
is. The thing is, if it's totally, I get that, like, I've got a friend who hasn't actually got time to sit and watch it. So she listens on the podcast in the car. Yeah. She's great. But I mean, the difference with actually watching it is you can see like facial expressions, because there's times where it's literally just raw. We don't talk. We talk about. We know what the subject's going to be before we go in. Right. Or whatever each other said is just literally as it comes out. So when we were doing what do you call this? What do you call that? I remember Rich said to me, "What do you call an elevator?" And I said, "Oh, we call it a lift." And he just sort of went quiet and said, "Y'all call it a lift? Can you repeat that for the viewers?" And then, like, his face just drops. And obviously, if you listen to that on a podcast, you don't get that same effect. So if I had to say which one I prefer. I'd say definitely watch it on YouTube, even if you just watch
Yeah.
one episode. You know, it's the comedy factor really from the facial expressions that adds to it, I think.
Well, I definitely think that's what it would be for me. I mean, I love listening to various shows on podcasts and listening, but being able to see how people interact and the facial expressions and stuff, that's really what I love. But that's just me personally. And now the last question is to Sophie. Are you ready? Are you ready? Hardest one yet.